organizers of this elite session and the conference, Professor Sharma ji, Professor Narwal ji, and all the audience. Many of them are new to me, and I welcome your presence and I appreciate the time you are spending here to listen to me. It's a privilege to be speaking on this prestigious elite gathering. And the subject is very vast, and I'm sure after me there are many more accomplished people from across the world who are going to talk about the Bhagavad-Gita, COVID times, and how the leadership, business, and society are to react. I'll keep the things very simple from my perspective. Very soft level, on a very basic level, how Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, inspires me when I get into the activities of leadership or the community service, or when I work or I do the business. So I start with chanting a slok, and then probably I'll again refer to many of the shlokas, especially from the chapter 2, and then we continue the discussion from there. का समस्या समस्तेपि संसारे अखिलास्तिया समाहिता न गीतायाम Shri Krishnena Mahatmana. Very simple meaning. The Gita is such a comprehensive, I won't say book, but it's a plethora of knowledge that has been given to us. The Upadesh was given by Yogeshwar Shri Krishna, but Gita is part of the Mahabharata that was written by the Rishi Vyasi. In the essence, and again, as I mentioned, I'm going to be focused on very basic stuff that is essential for the people of every kind in every business domain or the personal domain. So Gita is about dharma versus adharma, righteousness versus unrighteousness, victory of goodness, victory of dharma, and defeat of adharma. And the same logic of dharma will apply whether we are in personal life, whether we are in business life, whether we are in society, whether we are leaders or we are being led, right? Because every individual, at some place he is a leader, but at some place he is being led or he is part of the team. So the basic tenets of the dharma, and of course, if you go back to Manusmriti, Riti, Kshama, Damostem, Shauchamindriya, Nigraha, patience, forgiveness, the other 10 attributes of the dharma apply there. But the victory of dharma, how to identify the dharma, how to stay tuned to the dharma, how to walk the path of the dharma, and how to achieve the goal. Being on the path of dharma is what is Gita talking about. There are 3 goals of life: materialistic, in Hindi we'll call it sharirik, samajik, and atmik. So physical / materialistic, samajik / social, and adhyatmic is spiritual. So Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Gita is one such grantha that provides us the solutions for all the kinds of progress for every kind of people of every age across the nations. And again, dharma and religion are 2 different things. It is talking about the victory of the righteousness or the dharma. This is different than the religion. When we talk of the dharma, Gita talks about our capacity and capability to be able to distinguish to be unbiased, we have to be empathetic, we have to be thinking broader and manner. These things are being applied across the teams, across the people, and they are all the attributes that we draw from the Gita. If we try to connect the Gita to the modern situation that we are in, even the first sloka, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yudhsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kinkurvata Sanjaya, we are all in the Dharmakshetra or a battlefield. If you connect it with the 2020, we are in the COVID times. This is a challenge to the life. That is our current battlefield. Dharma here would be to protect the life of the people, to do the common good, respect the guidelines, especially when we get together or we go out, and how do we follow the discipline that is the need of the hour. So the definition of dharma remains basic, that what is the right thing to do, and based on the context it changes all the time, right? So if we relate to the COVID times, that's the dharma. Next thing is the choice. What do we choose? When there was the war was about to start, Duryodhan chose the army of Sri Krishna and Arjun chose the dharma Sri Krishna. And again, in these times, taking that example, we can see what is our dharma. What do we want to choose? We want to choose the knowledge, we want to choose the facts, we want to do the righteous things based on the facts and the knowledge and the information, or we want to become careless and not worry about the people's life. So in COVID times, the duty of individuals, same way businesses, the way businesses are reacting to the employees and the people, the way businesses are contributing to uplift the society or support the society in these testing times, again, that are driven by the same basic tenets: empathy, honesty, support, and common good of everyone. So dharma is, so first thing is to establish the dharma and the righteous thing. Then how do we stay focused once that understanding of dharma is developed without being distracted or without losing the path? And that's when the moha comes, because these are the words that Sri Krishna chanted to Arjun in the battlefield. And anything that distracts us from the path of the dharma or from our goal, because our goal is the achieving something by means of the path of the dharma. Anything that is taking us away from that is a distraction, and that distraction is to be avoided. And that is what Sri Krishna is telling to Arjun, that your dharma is to be able to win the war, and all the social relationships, all the ties, they are because of your moha. And what Sri Krishna tells Arjun is that what is vairagya? Vairagya is, or detachment is, anything, detachment is if we are staying focused towards the goal, but anything that, and if we are not detached from our goal and nothing, we are not distracted by anything while following our goal, we are in a state of the vairagya. For a spiritual person, the vairagya is always being focused on his moksha or liberation. For a student, his vairagya is that without being distracted to all the things, he's focused on the studies. For a teacher or professor, the vairagya is that he is always focused on the path of dharma or giving the education to his students. So the definition of dharma remains same, but the application of the dharma as given by Gita applies to various people in the field in a various ways. And then Shri Krishna talks about how we can get distracted from the path of the dharma. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. So chapter 2, sloka 62 and 63, they talk about how one develops attachment to the worldly objects while walking on the path of the dharma. Attachment leads to the desires become anger becomes clouding of the judgment, with the results in bewilderment of the memory. When the memory is bewildered, the intellect gets destroyed, and when the intellect is destroyed, one is ruined. Now, this thing, if we are able to distract ourselves, this learning can be applied anywhere. In COVID times, not to give away to this anger, when we are fighting that sickness, when we are working with the overstressed personnel or the people themselves, the medication when we are taking, when we are in this situation, and if we do not give up our cool, that means we are on the path of the dharma. So any individual, any society, when they do not give up the path of the dharma, they do not lose their patience, is when they are following the message of the Gita. It is as simple. Then Sri Krishna is always telling Arjun, be level-headed, because one of the quality of the leader, and that's what I try to implement on myself, whenever we are having the, any leadership discussion or any decisions based on the being as a leader, the things are, first our decisions should be as per the dharma, and then to take a dharmic decision, what attribute should I have? I should be level-headed, or I should be in an equanimous mind. Yogastha kuru karmani, and that's the logo of the university as well. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhayo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. All it is saying is that the way Sri Krishna is a yogi, we all be yogi in our day-to-day affair. And yogi is samatvam, the equanimity of our mind, the level-headedness, the steadfastness. And if we have that steadfastness in our decisions, whether we are in business domain, whether we are serving the society, whether we are leading any initiative, personal, family, social, anywhere, that steadfastness with the attitude of dharma is what is important. We need to live with that. Same thing it also again, to remain the equanimous with the equanimous mind. It is talking about the second chapter 38 shloka. Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. So Sri Krishna inspires Arjun that do not worry about happiness or distress. Treat them same. Be level-headed. Loss or gain, victory or defeat, fulfilling the responsibility in this way. If we do that we will never incur the sin. So Sri Krishna to Arjun is always talking about being level-headed, being steadfast, being not distracted, and continuing to focus towards the goal. There is a very important term, sthita prajya. Again, it leads to the meaning equanimous mind itself. But if the leader is a sthit prajya, if the leader is dharmic, then the leader will take all the good decisions because the mind is not wandering here and there. And there are a couple of shlokas that I brought, and one of my favorite ones is Dukkheshu anubigna manaha Sukheshu vigata spriha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthita dhir muni ruchyate. One whose mind remains undisturbed amidst misery, who does not crave for pleasure, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called sage of steady wisdom. So whenever I as a leader, I as a community worker, I as a family person, whenever I feel distressed, this shloka reminds me that I have to rise up and continue moving. And then what it tells is, the very important shloka that comes towards the end of the Gita is Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddesheshwar janatishthati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani maya. If we remember that Almighty God, that God is sitting within us and guiding us towards the righteous path, we are to listen to the advices that we get from that God and follow the righteous path. If we realize that reality, that we are the souls, as Sri Krishna talked about, souls never die, but they, based on the inspiration, they are to do the right or wrong karma. So if we are focused on the karma, and next sloka brings about the karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. In COVID times, a lot of time we get scared, we get worried, we feel like not acting. So this slok tells us that always continue walking the path of the righteousness. Never be a karma, because Ved says, because the karma neva adhikaraste slok is driven from the Veda mantra of Ishopanishad. Kurvan neveha karmani didi vishechatam samaha naivam tvainanyate tosti na karma lipyate nare. So we got to continue doing the karma without stopping and never be attached to the results of the karma, is what this shlok says. And one more term that we use all the time in our corporate world, self-motivated, self-motivation. So very important shlok from the 6th chapter. Uddhared atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaivahi atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmana. Elevate yourself to the power of your mind and not degrade yourself. For the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. Because these are the terms we always use. बच्चा छोटा गिर जाता है, जल्दी से खड़ा हो जाता है, because he has that energy to rise and start running. So in the time of pandemic, we see many obstacles coming, but if we are sthitaprajya, if we are following the righteous path, if we have the desire to rise up to the occasion and keep on walking, probably we will be able to achieve our goal, is what the learning from the Gita we have, right? So I'll bring it towards the end. As I mentioned, the Gita is about having the decision between dharma and adharma, how to achieve that path of the dharma. That path of the dharma, and then it talks about various kinds of yoga that Professor Narwal talked about. Using those practices, we can always achieve our goal. So the righteousness, the dharma, and the action. The last slok of the Gita talks about Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. The message here is Sri Krishna reflects the righteousness or the mind or the spirituality, and Arjun reflects the action, the karma. And it says when there is a combination of two, that someone sthita prajya, who is with the equanimous mind, who is thinking in the right direction, who has the goals identified, and it is aligned with the thought of walking together continuously with the righteous action, one would always gain the success. So in my few minutes and few shlokas that I chanted from Gita, which are very favorite, which I'm very fond of, and the ones I use in my day-to-day life, the lesson is that if we imbibe these very basic values, patience, steadfastness, always righteousness, empathy towards others, honesty in our behavior, we can apply them equally in every phase of life, in every situation, in every country, for every age of the people. And of course, the execution of these attributes, these tenets, would be different based on the age and the situation. I hope all of us can take these lessons for each of us in our lives, and you will see how we can imbibe everything of Gita in our day-to-day life. A lot of time it happens that we talk a lot, but we do not walk the talk. My call to everyone is, celebrating the Gita Mahotsav, celebrating the Gita Jayanti will be more successful if we pick up one of the attributes from Gita, one of the virtues from Gita, one of the virtues from Yogeshwar Sri Krishna Ji's life, and if we try to apply that to our lives, I think celebrating the Gita Mahotsav every year